Messaging strategy is something that a lot of people talk about, but everyone seems to offer a different definition. Do you feel confused and overwhelmed? If so, no worries, you found the right place. We are diving in today on what is your messaging strategy, how to create it, and why you need one. So let's get started.
Welcome to the Grow Your Business for Good show. This is a place where coaches and consultants gather so you can learn how to lead a world-class business that does not tax your time, your energy, or your financial resources. We are your hosts, M. Shannon Hernandez
and Amy Hager of the Joyful Business Revolution. And our number one goal is to bring you clarity and insight on how to grow your business for good. All right, because there is so much confusion to figure out over your messaging strategy, we really want to share how we help people understand, create, and use their brand strategy. But before we even dive into this, I really want to make sure that we start out with, you have a choice here. And when it comes to your mindset, I don't want you to choose to remain confused about your messaging strategy. And so it takes effort and time to figure this out. So go grab your pen and paper. And if you don't have it handy, click pause. We will wait for you and come on back and let's dive into this together. So we've got some really great questions that I want you to think through of today. We're going to have some good examples for you today. But I think before we even dive into helping you with your messaging strategy, why does this even matter? And when you spend time fine-tuning your messaging, you're probably going to see quicker sales cycle. We just had someone meet with Shannon this week. We didn't even need to necessarily have a sales call. She was ready to go. So there wasn't even a sales cycle. She was ready. You're going to have more sales from an aligned audience. And we are going to cover your aligned audience deeper in another episode. But those are those ideal clients that you are just so excited to work with and that you know get the transformation that you absolutely love. You're going to have a much stronger and loyal community. And I think the other thing that I love about this is you're going to have consistent and effective marketing. Like, who doesn't want marketing that actually works? And who doesn't want marketing that you can show up consistently in? And so before we can even think through this, though, one thing that really prevents people from getting clear on their messaging strategy is they refuse to niche. And so we have a client right now who is newer to her business. We're helping her put together her offer in a one-on-one container, her and I are. And she is so nervous about niching. She knows that her methodology is going to help everybody. And I would 100% agree. I almost think everybody does need this thing. But when you market to everybody, you're actually speaking to nobody. And so we really had to go through what would be her most ideal situation. Is it a startup company? Is it a company that's around for 10, 20 years? Is it a company with hundreds of employees or 5 employees? Is it a company that focuses on healthcare, construction, technology? There's all of these things. And her original refusing to niche for almost 3 months of us working together got her no clients. And as we really talked through what would be her most ideal situation, it helped her realize, wow, now people can actually send me business because they're really, really clear who I want to work with. And so when you really start to define who you serve, how you help them, and why it actually matters, then your job is to really tie that information together with your mission, your vision, and your story. So if you're not leading with your mission or goals, then it's going to get really, really hard to attract and nurture your ideal community.
Yeah. Amy, we have this come up a lot. This I'm scared to niche.
Yeah.
I dealt with it today. You deal with it. We deal with it. We hear it all the time. Why do you think people are so scared to niche? So I want to talk about mindset first of why they're scared. Then when we can get them over the hump, what actually happens?
Yeah. The thing that I'm always hearing is I don't want to leave money on the table, basically. Like, I can help a lot of people. And so if I talk more broad and more vague, then that's not going to make somebody feel excluded. And I think I'm going to leave money on the table. I'm going to exclude people. And I really also love the variety of working with a bunch of people. Comes up a lot when you're creating your business and your niche. So
Yeah.
I think that's completely what stops people from doing it.
Yeah. And we could do a whole nother episode on this, but I want to just give everyone something to think about as you're listening today. 2 points on this, actually. All right. So niching is really important and it can be really scary. And that we're going to honor that. Like, it is scary. You do think you're going to leave money on the table, right? But I want to paint a visual for you. All right. When our clients really understand this is what happens. So I want you all to imagine you're in a rowboat with a fishing pole, and I send you out to an ocean, the Pacific or the Atlantic. Amy is rowing. If you are not watching YouTube, you do not see Amy rowing her boat. We send Amy out into the Atlantic, and there she is in the big vast ocean with a worm on a hook. Amy, are you going to starve to death? Like, what's happening out here on your fishing pole?
I mean, you're just getting rocked. You're not able to get centered. You don't even know where that worm is on your fishing pole or that Twizzlers. I hear you can fish with Twizzlers. I don't know. But really, you're just like out there you're getting rocked and waked around in your boat, and you're not in control of any of it, no matter how good of a rower you are.
Absolutely. You can be a great coach. You can be a great consultant. You can have great ideas for marketing. You can have the best methodology and process, but if they can't hear you, they won't pay you because they don't even know who you're talking to. All right, now I'm going to put Amy, really enjoying watching her row her boat. Amy, I'm taking you out of the Atlantic and I'm putting you in a tiny little pond. All right. I want you to put your worm on your hook, and this pond, Amy, is your niche. It is coaches and consultants who have been in business at least 3 years. They have a website, they have a lead magnet, they have an email marketing. All of those things could improve, but at least they have it. Now what's happening to your hook?
I am catching some fish, y'all. This is my reeling in my fish music. Because I'm in a pond and it's not a struggle. Like, it's a beautiful sunfish and I'm gonna have a fish fry with it. It's so much easier to really catch those fish. And here's the thing, like, let's say another fish comes and bites on that hook and, we have a little bit of a tug and pull, which I would say is a conversation back and forth. And it's not my ideal fish, which would be a sunfish. Maybe it's a bass. That bass wants to be a part of what I have to offer because it really likes what it's seeing. And we get to have that conversation. And so I think one thing, your messaging is working well when your not most ideal client sends you an email, gives you a call, sends you a DM and says, Shannon, I am not a coach, consultant, or a service-based business owner. I am a nonprofit CEO. Can you help me too? That gives you the opportunity to have a conversation. They really believe in your mission, your vision, and your values so much that they are raising their hand to work with you, and they're not an ideal client.
Yep. And then you get to choose if you want to or not.
Exactly.
All right. So I want everyone to get into their rowboats, row yourself into your little tiny pond of ideal fish, and let's catch some fish. All right. Easily. All right. That happens when you niche. Niche, fish. I was trying to make it rhyme. Didn't quite work.
No, we're a little off.
It's okay. All right. We're going to move on now. Another thing I want to talk about today is your mission, your vision, and your values, right? So Your brand messaging strategy needs to put your mission, your vision, and your values at the front and center of everything you're doing. We're going to share lots of examples today. Amy and I have been really excited to kick this season 7 off with you all. All right. But the very first thing that I want to say is that if you're not leading with your mission and your vision and your values, you probably are having trouble attracting those people who want to be in your world because they don't know who you are, what you stand for, how you identify, etc. Okay. Now, one of the things that I've been giving a lot of thought to lately, I don't know if it's because I'm 47 now, Amy. I don't know if it's because my doctor's going to tell me I need progressive lenses next month, but I have been thinking a lot about legacy. All right. And not only legacy in terms of like, what am I leaving when I'm gone? I'm actually not even thinking about going. I got a lot more work here, y'all, to do on this planet. All right. But I want to talk about the mindset of living your legacy now. I'm hosting a mastermind dinner tonight. Our theme is legacy. I've curated some beautiful questions for the table. And one of the things that I think is super important for all of us, no matter your age, no matter, how long you think you have left on this earth, is for you to check in I do it every day, y'all, but every month, every quarter, whatever you need to do to get into the habit, what is the legacy you're living right now, right? What is your life mission? What are you here to do? Why does it matter to you? Why does it matter to your audience? And what is the story behind it, right? Remember, story sells. It's got that emotion. It's got that connectivity, right? So you can try it out with this kind of fill in the blank sentence. My business supports my mission by blank. All right. My business supports my life mission by blank. All right. And I'm going to give you ours just so that you have one to work with. My business supports my life mission by spreading messaging and marketing joy to business owners so they can deepen relationships and double revenue in their own businesses. That's what I'm about here. I'm about kindness. I'm about loving humanity. I'm about spreading joy. I'm about kind messaging. I'm about possibility messaging. All of that in service of deepening relationships with the people who are in our world so they can grow their businesses. Mm-hmm. Remember what I said. If they can't hear you, they won't pay you. Right? So it's a beautiful example and a beautiful reason for you to start diving into your story and into your why you get up and do what you do every single day. Okay. This is what I call living your legacy. All right. You're going to live your legacy. You're going to live it in and out day after day. And for those of you listening in the United States, you know the shit is heating up with the election. And I've just made a choice. And I told my team, I actually called a team meeting. And I said, my choice is I am going to lead with kindness. I don't care what side of the fence people are on. If you're a decent human and you want to grow your business and you like coming into Joyful Business Revolution, you are welcome. We have always been that way.
Yeah.
I can tell you, Amy, as I log into Facebook or wherever, it's everywhere, right? And I see these memes and I see meanness and I see, I could be really triggered, but I'm choosing, like Amy said at the beginning, mindset. I'm choosing not to be triggered, just like she told you, choose not to be confused about this. And I'm choosing to live my message and my brand every single day, regardless of what is going on in the world.
Yeah.
It's huge, right? Living your legacy. So I want you to give some thought to what is your life mission? What are you here to do? Why does it matter to you? And why does it matter to your audience? Okay. Now we're going to switch gears for a moment. We're going to talk about values. It's another part of your brand messaging strategy. We've got some fun things to share with you, some breaking news. So get ready. All right. But some people believe that sharing their brand values is part of their messaging plan. Other people believe that it should only be internal to help onboard team members, make sure you got the right values fit, right? I'm going to be a proponent of both and. How do we lead with the brand values public facing to call in all of you beautiful souls? And how do we use brand values to screen people when we're hiring for the team?
Right.
It's important. All right. Now, I do think I want to say before Amy and I jump into some fun stories and breaking news to share with you all. All right. You get to decide what you want to share. Always. Right? Anyone who does any kind of research on me and my life would know exactly where I stand on the political side of things. However, my brand value is not to talk politics. I don't even like talking about it behind, with a spouse or my family or anything. Like, it just doesn't interest me. But my brand value is to welcome all kind humans with loving arms. And there's no caveat there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not welcome all kind humans with loving arms, but only if they're registered as an independent.
Yeah.
That is not what we're doing here, right? So, Amy, let's just share some really fun ways how we lead with brand values and what happens as a result of the clients that we call in.
Yeah, I think one or two of the biggest ones that we probably showcase the most is travel and food. Like Shannon and I both love travel and we both love great food. And that's reflected in the way we host our retreats and in the programming that we put together. And our Joyful Business program has a retreat or a getaway or some in-person thing so that we can travel together. And of course, we're going to go out and have some great food or have a great chef or be chefs ourselves. And we've even got a retreat plan to Mexico for our Master of the Minds. And that is a great chance for us to come together with clients and with others to really share ideas and help each other move our businesses forward and expand while enjoying great food. We're going to be learning how to make some traditional Mexican dishes. And I think that's super duper important for us to lead with. And even though we attract people who don't travel. And again, when they reach out, they say, gosh, I really love what you and Shannon do. I love that you guys travel all the time. There's no way I could do that. But I love that you do that. So it's still, even though travel isn't a value of theirs, they still feel drawn to it.
Yeah. And I also want to say this, we just onboarded a new client and I shared with the client. So we onboarded a client into my one-on-one business growth strategy program. And I had to share with the client before I let her pay, hey, I just want you to know I am going off the grid for 17 days to do a spiritual pilgrimage across Spain in September. Is this going to be a problem for you? And she said, absolutely not. I support you in that 100%. Now, this wasn't a surprise to her because she's been following the brand. She knows what we stand for. She knows we're about travel. She knows we're about personal development. She has followed what we lead with in our messaging, which is our values. And she paid yesterday, and I'm super excited that she's coming with us. And Amy does this as well with her clients, right?
100%.
So,
and they honor that, right? And there's some people again that say, I would never be able to go 10 days without my laptop or my computer. And I'm like, boy, you got to give it a try sometime, right?
Yeah.
But they know what we stand for and they know what to expect from us and that we're still going to show up in service and really support them. We're just not going to be available for those, 17 days, 10 days, whatever it may be. And again, the beautiful thing is we're a dynamic duo. If Shannon's new one-on-one client needed something, if something came up and she needed to mastermind, guess what? She can reach out to me and I can help her just as well. So it's not that she's going to go without anything for 17 days, but it definitely does show in our brand that we love to travel. We love food. We want you to come to Mexico with us. P.S. If you want to come to Mexico with us, DM one of us. We'll get you the information. But I do think it's really, really important that we lead with that.
Yeah, I love that. The last part really we're going to talk about today in terms of your brand messaging strategy. So we've covered your mission, living your legacy, that's part of your mission, your values, leading with your values, right? Knowing what you're going to talk about, what you're not going to talk about, how you're going to show up. The last one is your voice. All right. And voice can be a tricky one because voice is, it's the tone of the writing, the tone of whatever, right? Like we hope when you're listening to this podcast, you're nodding and you're smiling and you're laughing because I'm watching Amy row her rowboat in the Pacific Ocean, right? We hope that voice comes across, that we're playful, we're fun, we're serious about helping you grow, but we're also, we're fun-loving bunch over here. All right. Yeah. And I think one of the hardest things for all of us, right, is we were trained by a lot of things: society, religion, family, corporate job. Me, it was a school system, a professor in a college. We were trained to tame the voice.
Yeah.
We were trained to tone it down. We were trained, at least in my house, in my family, it was children are seen and not heard. Well, imagine, all right, when I was ready to be heard, how hard that was for me to say, no, I deserve to be heard, right? And I was just working, Amy, with a client today in our Joy Field program, and she actually came to the call and she said, I've been working on my messaging, but I've realized I don't know my voice.
Right.
And, she's a former HR person. And I said to her, listen to me. You were told how to fire people, what you could say, how it would look, what you couldn't say. Here's your papers. Let me walk you to the door. We need to unravel this, and you need to have some grace with yourself. We need to play. This needs to be fun. Let's get in Google Doc and let's write a fun story marketing piece together and work on your voice. And her face lit up and she's like, oh, this is what I needed.
Right.
So how do you go about finding your voice? Well, I can tell you a lot of bogus shit that's not going to work. All right. Which I'm not going to do. But the first thing I'm going to tell you is you should be working with a messaging strategist who can look at a piece you've written or a video or whatever and say, hey, where's the emotion in this?
Right.
Where's your values? Where are you conveying your vision? Where's your passion? Because those were the things that were stripped of us before we started businesses. And now we're telling you, these are the things that actually matter to getting business.
Right. Exactly. We were in the Content Personality Club the other day and working on messaging. And as someone was reading and putting voice to their messaging, everybody else in the audience, so your peers, are really listening for the emotion. They're listening for clarity of who is the ideal person that you're talking to. And it was interesting because one person read, it was a beautiful piece, well written. There was absolutely no emotion to it at all, though. And so they were giving suggestions on, oh, here's where you could put a little bit more emotion into this. Here's where maybe you're repeating yourself too many times, or you're just rephrasing what you already said. And so remove that and change it with this. And by the time we were done working together as a community, people had the ones that we workshop or laser coach had everything worked and like they could hit send at the end of the time together. But even those who were listening for the emotion, they're really working those messaging muscles because it takes time, right? We're taught that you have a personal life and a professional life or a business life or a career life, and the two can never cross. Well, y'all, you're one person, you're living one life. So show up who you are and know that you can be yourself. It's okay. We love you either way. And I think that being able to embrace that is just so nerve-wracking for some people. And for us to be able to be that community where we're helping them figure out what their voice even sounds like, what their tone sounds like, what do they say, what feels authentic to them, or what is conditioned, or what they wrote is that conditioning from the past. I think that's really, really key. And so I'm kind of curious, Shannon, like, what are some questions that you tend to ask yourself or ask our clients in order for them to even find their own voice? Because we may not know it.
Yeah. So sometimes it's like listicles, which is a really fun word I've been wanting to say, by the way. What kinds of things do you want to say? Do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about your love of travel? Do you want to talk about your passion for food? Do you want to talk about your aging parents? Make a list of things you want to talk about. These are things that probably would not be appropriate to talk about in other places, but you get to call the shots here. That's the fun part of being a business owner, right? Another question is, what are some things you never want to talk about or say, right? I am not talking about politics. Don't want to. It makes my stomach sick. I'm not putting my energy there. All right. There's some things that I am not going to talk about, right? The biggest one is, how do you want people to feel? And
Yes.
people can't feel anything if your messaging strategy is devoid of emotion. You're going to get meh people, M-E-H. They're going to like, who is this? You know, if we've done one thing right here, there is no factor
No.
in what we got going on here.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So I do just want to say, if you've ever come across this very stupid bullshit exercise, don't do it. If you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. You print a list of about 100 to 400 adjectives and it tells you, oh, to find your brand voice, go circle the top 10. No. Okay. It comes from within and it comes from practice. And I told my client today, you know, when I helped people write books as a memoir coach, I'm a writer myself. This is a muscle that you can develop and you can practice, but you're not going to get better at identifying and using your voice if you're sitting around thinking about identifying and using your voice. You actually need to go do something, right? So I'm excited to work with her, Amy, and see what we come up with.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're kind of coming to the end of our conversation today about really identifying your mission, understanding your value, and understanding your voice. And now that you have some clarity around that, if you're like, if you are struggling with, what do I say? What are the words should I say? Can you help me put this together? We really want to make sure that you know about our email messaging and marketing mentorship. And so the ideal people to work with us in that program have an offer that is working well, and that you've maybe not even started to message or market too much. You've been mostly getting referrals and repeats. And so when you're ready to really dive into the messaging to attract your ideal client, remember, that's who we're trying to get, your ideal client. We have something special for you. Since you've been listening to our podcast, we would love to invite you to our email messaging and marketing mentorship. It's called the Content Personality Club. And since you listened to this episode, we have a code you can use to receive a discount off of your enrollment. So it's a $500 discount. And that code is podcast 500. So it's all caps, the word podcast, no space, the letter 500. Go ahead and jump into the Content Personality Club and let's start working on your brand mission, vision, and values.
It's so fun. All right, y'all, stay tuned. The next episode we are dropping like it's hot is on brand messaging. We are going to dive into creating your brand messaging pillars and how to use them to grow your aligned audience. Adios.
Bye.